Good morning. Got out simulation mode yesterday for a neutral look at some matches. I've been fed up myself with these late 2-0 scorelines scuppering my insurance plays. And I thought, what if we involved both teams? If we had our trades that we normally have, but we find a way to provide a neutral avenue in. And that normal avenue in will be goals, won't it? So, a couple of techniques yesterday, which I'd like to share with you, which is why I can use simulation mode. I can really try them out in a real market. So it simulates the real market. And you can see the potential banana skins and indeed the potential rewards. So Asane and Mjondalen. This was a Mjondalen side scoring the first goal in Norway. Didn't fancy trusting Asane. So we experimented with laying over 2.5 goals, backing over 3.5 goals. And I think we came to the conclusions yesterday that you could have just gone for over 3.5 goals. Don't forget, a goal has already been scored. So you can back over 3.5 goals at 1.85. A goal's already been scored. We're inferring that the favourite will score the next goal and maybe push on and make it 2-1. But we do know this is a dodgy league, Norway, first division as well, and we can get surprises all the way through. So backing over 3.5 goals at 1.85. Once the goals come in, you can cash out. So maybe the insurance, the 2.5 goal insurance, is not worthwhile because it's too hefty. Took out a big chunk of your profit, unless you're scalping, unless this is what you want, to take a small gain as quickly as possible once the goals start flowing. Dundee United and Livingston. This again, with simulation mode, I can experiment on techniques for you. Some of them are higher risk, but they bring a good reward. Let's take a look at Dundee United. Now, you need to be sure that the side is absolutely dominating the match. But we do our checks. 1.71 home favourite. Market's expecting. It's 1-1. I'm looking at Dundee United. Why? Because I've looked at the second half. And what do you see in the second half? This is just one half, by the way. 13 total shots to 1 in the second half. 2 big chances to none. 2 corners to 1. Yeah, very shy on the corner count second half, but expected goals from Dundee United second half. Is it Dundee United or Dundee? Dundee United. This is, don't forget, second half. Extremely solid stats throughout. I like the shots inside the box stat. Just shows where all the pressure's coming or not coming. So if you can get a match like this, where you've got a big slant towards one particular team who happen to be the odds-on favourite and happen to be at home, you can look at getting a late 2-1 by laying over 2.5 goals and then backing Dundee United in the match odds market. If it remains 1-1, you will lose, but you will gain the insurance. But notably, if Dundee United score, you will lose that £40 there. You will make the difference between that and £90 there. So it's a quick way to get a potential 50 quid, but it's a long way down. Minus 40 there and minus 40 on the 2.5 goal market if Livingston score a late winner. That's why you have to be very cautious and look at the utter dominance. I did it again with Kaiserslautern as well. And let me just show you that Kaiserslautern match. So it's a similar story. Laying over 2.5 goals to cover the 1-1. Waiting for Kaiserslautern to get the winner. So I'm going to lose 25 quid here. But if Kaiserslautern get the late winner, I can cash out and double my money. £55 profit. can back them at 2.94 there, cash out at 1.22 if they scored. So let's have a look at Kaiserslautern again, and you'll see a similar layout to Dundee United. So we're just trying to add some more techniques to the roster and some neutral avenues as well. This isn't neutral, of course. This is focusing on one particular team, but we're choosing carefully our matches. So here we have the Kaiserslautern Bochum match. You can see that late winner for Kaiserslautern. Now, you have to be trusting that the in-play stats are accurate. Again, second half focus only. What do you see here? 7 shots on target to 2, 5 big chances to 1, 9 corners to 1. Where's all of the momentum this second half occurring? 2.92 expected goals to 0.66. 2.67 expected goals on target to 0.99, and that's reflected there, isn't it? Heading towards the 3 goals. 15 total shots. Second half, by the way. Ticking every box. The only way this would be upset would be a Bochum penalty, something like that. So you're looking for the late Kaiserslautern win or the late Kaiserslautern goal to lock it in. And that came there in the 86th minute. I locked it in at 3-1. So that's something for you to think about if you want to take a late scalp of these sides utterly dominating their matches. Not necessarily neutral, but the whole point of doing this simulation mode was for me to be able to do ideas like this in the real markets and see their Achilles heel, which is quite clearly if the underdog scores the goal. I don't know whether that could be covered elsewhere in the correct score market. What was of interest yesterday was taking on odds on favourites 0-0 at half time, but with a very special technique. Now, the reason I focused on Lincoln and Port Vale is because both of these two sides were odds on favourites at home and a 0-0 at half time. Port Vale stats, well, both of these two sides very poor in-play stats, which is what I like. They were not turning up yesterday, Port Vale or Lincoln. Their expected goals were very short indeed. If you were at the live stream, you'll have seen this. Very short expected goals, under 1.00, i.e. they're not creating enough chances to trouble the judge. But they're coming into the match in decent form, suggesting there might be a goal second half somewhere along the line. What I want to do is exploit the potential for this to be a tight 0-0 going on into the second half. So if you're willing to take the hit, you've got the potential for a very big reward. I laid over 0.5 goals at half time at 0-0 to cover the 0-0. You can see it's relatively high here because that's relatively high for a 0-0 at half time. Because these two, their expected goals is poor. They're not creating enough chances, even though they come into this in decent form. So I've laid over 0.5 goals, cover the 0-0. Now I'm just going to sit on it, bide my time. Now, I got as low as 1.84. What happens here then? If any team scores a goal and it doesn't end a score draw, you will win. And you're extracting more out of the market because you've waited longer and longer. I don't know if the draw graph will be here anymore. Probably not. No, it's redundant now. The draw graph would show you draw odds dropping, dropping, dropping. Now, the great thing about this technique is it rewards those of you who wait the longest. Now, just imagine, because this ended 0-0, by the way. I got as far as 1.84. Now, imagine the hearty souls who laid the draw at 1.2, for example, using our full £40 stake. So that will be the amount here. Look at what happens to the profit and loss. This is effectively a free punt. So maybe football trading profits / football trading in-play value betting. So this, for example, if you, instead of 1.84, I laid at 1.2. Now my potential reward is up to 200 quid. So you see how exciting that can be. And this is effectively a free punt. Because if it ends 0-0, you've got that covered. If you get a single goal from either side, don't forget. This is what the theme was yesterday, neutral. And you'll see that work well with Lincoln. Either side, a single goal will nail you 200 quid. The only way this loses is via a score draw. Or if there's an early goal in the second half. But you have to take that risk. But that's the whole point of choosing matches where it's been tight. The second example, Lincoln and Exeter. Odds on favourite at home, Lincoln. Again, both teams underperforming in the first half. Expected goals for both teams under 1, which means no great chances. Laying over 0.5 goals at half time at 1.25. You can see the difference between that and Port Vale's 1.41. The market's expecting goals in this one, aren't they? But I've laid over 0.5 goals to cover the 0-0. Now, like the Fonz says, sit on it. And again, my kahunas were not that big. I laid at 1.79. I still saw that as value. And as befits a neutral play, the underdog scored the winner. But look at the timing of the winner in this Exeter match. And I think you'll see that we could have got that lay of the draw at even lower odds. A bit like Port Vale. So we're going back to the English Championship. Lincoln and Exeter. Look at the timing of this win for Exeter. Oh, that's the wrong match. Let me just get Lincoln and Exeter back. Perfectly timed late winner, but I got involved far too early. Now, imagine if that's 94th minute. Again, had you got in, maybe at 1.15 this time, with your £40 liability, by the way, not stake, liability. So this bit here. Put that up to 40 and watch the profit and loss rise and rise and rise. We still haven't got to 40 yet, and we're up to 180 quid. Still haven't got to 40 yet, and we're over 200. 270 quid if I laid at 1.15, which was doable in both of these two matches yesterday. So you can see that would have come in as well with that late Exeter winner. I like creating these kind of opportunities where you have the chance of a very big win for what is a low liability, largely. 10 quid there and £16 there. So that was something to take out of yesterday's neutral look. I think this is a very exciting way to try to get some really good value out of the second half. Again, looking neutrally yesterday, I passed this on to members as a traditional play. Watford ended up winning. But again, if you're playing neutrally, you expect Watford to win. But our focus yesterday was on neutral. So 1.68, that was the only value I could find. And over 2.5 goals came in. But it did offer us some good trades as the goals started flowing in that particular match. So what to take out of yesterday's neutral ideas? If you want to play these lower tiers where you don't trust the sides, but you do think goals will occur, then got the option, once a goal has come in, to back over 3.5 goals as a trading vehicle, not necessarily as a punt. You're not looking for 4 goals to come in. You're looking for another goal to come in quickly, and then a third potentially, because you're looking at Arsene to get 3. So some interesting techniques yesterday. I'll be following those up again, and future live streams are going to have this neutral simulation mode next to the actual. Just give you these alternative routes. Looking on to today, I've got a couple of odds-on favourites in the Bundesliga, and again, primary focus on odds-on favourites in these lesser tiers. So these would be good candidates if it's a quiet first half. Dender, newly-ish promoted. They've got the vibe of a newly promoted side. This looks all day long Genk, but it's post-Champions League, so Club Brugge, Royal Unity Go are both involved in Champions League football. But Club Brugge, again, a great 2.5 goal candidate. If this ended 0-0 at half-time, that probably wouldn't be good for the insurance one here, because you're expecting goals, goals, goals. We want tight matches. And hopefully I'll find one or two of those for you today. Dinamo Zagreb, this is a Zagreb derby. You saw all the derby matches and derby style matches over the weekend. Very difficult to unpack. Dortmund Leipzig, for example. Very difficult. Chelsea Liverpool was extremely tight and tough, wasn't it? Could have gone either way. Poulsen, odds on. Danish Super League. Aarhus. So we're just collecting the odds on. Copenhagen post-Champions League, pre-international break. Got a tough encounter against Midtjylland. This should be more competitive than that suggests. Aston Villa and Burnley. Aston Villa are catching the goals now. Unai Emery will be delighted. Suddenly started scoring 2 goals. Be careful. And they've put together a 3-match winning run, albeit 2 of them in the Europa League. This was a very impressive result. And it's that 2-goal habit that I've talked about in the past for Aston Villa away from home. But Feyenoord were bossing this throughout. So an extremely good result and a very good sign for Villa fans that this early season malaise is over. I don't know who's doing the scoring for them all of a sudden. Ollie Watkins, John McGinn and Buendia. But they're back to their trustworthy selves now, I think, Aston Villa. So that's important with today's match in focus, given the fact that they are odds-on favourites. So can we trust the villains? I think we can. Post-Europa League, pre-international break might blunt them a little. But they look to be back up and purring under Unai Emery. So Burnley, I think, are going to be up against it. 3 consecutive wins now in all competitions. 2 of those 3 matches have scored 2+ goals for the first time in a very long time. Back up and at 'em. Villa, I would expect a home win today. Everton and Crystal Palace. Well, due deference to Everton, that an unbeaten Crystal Palace is 2.88. A fascinating match. Very difficult for me to unpack. Crystal Palace remain unbeaten. Aston Villa do have a 2-goal threat when Jack Grealish starts purring. But 2.55, the favourite, tells you that this might be one for the neutral play, mightn't it? Newcastle and Nottingham Forest. Well, Ange Postecoglou has the enviable record for the last 100 years, the first Nottingham Forest manager to have 6 consecutive starting matches under his tenure without a win. And it's highly likely to be set to continue. Why on earth they got rid of Nuno Espirito Santo, I don't know. Absolutely lunatic. Ange Postecoglou is not a fit for Nottingham Forest. Wolves and Brighton. Well, Brighton, that could be value at the end of the day. Wolves, under the new Portuguese manager, are in all sorts of trouble. So that's a good candidate for, I think, taking on any Wolves lead. Brentford and Man City. Well, 1.62 for Man City. The Bees, how are they getting on at the moment? And I've done the match reports for members. A beating of Man United, a loss to Fulham, a beating of Aston Villa. Both teams are scoring, you'll note, as well. So that could be an angle in today. Post-Champions League for Manchester City, sloppy against Monaco, conceding a late goal. When you've got Erling Haaland, you've always got a shot, haven't you? That's one to watch, I think. Brentford are in good form, but both teams are scoring. They're not making it easy. So with both teams scoring, of course, they'll need 2 goals just to get the win. So an interesting Premier League today. A bit more readable than usual, I would be solidly siding with Aston Villa today. I would be looking at Nottingham Forest to continue their malaise under Postecoglou. He made a complete pig's ear out of the midweek fixture with Midtjylland. Absolutely clueless performance. Ipswich against Norwich. This is a local derby, so just be a little careful. Tractor, 1.46 for the home favourite, will give us an angle in, but it is a local derby, so do just be a little cautious. Premier League, great for 2.5 goals. I might try some of these out today and maybe record them for you. See if we can find our angles in. The first port of call is to make sure that the market favours 2.5 goals. I would look for anything under 1.6. Probably going to be 1.3 in this league for 2.5 goals. 1.3, there we go. But that's a good angle in. I'm recording these results and they do provide some good angles. Once I get to artificial intelligence to do a full inspection of the results I've got and an analysis of the patterns, we can hopefully come up with a bet and go strategy we can use for singular matches, and any matches where the favourite's 1.6 for over 2.5 goals. Actually, there is a contrary angle in. If you've got a high over 2.5 goals like this, lay under 1.5 first half goals. Come in quite a lot. I would suggest you get a bit of value in the first half because you're expecting goals. But the pattern I'm seeing, and I'll share with you if I can find it. The pattern I'm seeing is for a number of these matches to just have the single goal and to be very heavily second half biased for goals. So any over 2.5 goal at odds of 1.6 or lower, look at the amount of no's. This is for first half goals 2.5, 1.5. Enough, I would warrant, to suggest there'll be a bit of value there. So I'm going to have to record the odds for 1.5 goals. You can see here, look. No. Couple of yeses. So that's my first angle for these 1.6 favourites and lower over 2.5 goals. Look at the second half goal bias as well. And the potential that we can stretch to over 3.5 goals. So the more I record, the more detailed I can get these results, the more we can look in. Could be a quite simple over 1.5 goal scalping system, couldn't it? Because very rare you get 0-0s here. 20 minutes as well. Delaying 20 minutes could reward you as well. So there's plenty of angles from a neutral perspective. Probably not going to be doing a live stream today, but I'll make up my mind a bit later because it's the international break. I might just pop on and say goodbye because I won't be seeing you till the 19th, although we'll be doing some international football as well. So working our way down French League, I've done all of the reports for members. Again, 3 odds-on favourites at home. This is a Côte d'Azur derby, so be very careful. You've seen derby-style matches can be a complete mess. That looks very good value for Paris Saint-Germain. There doesn't seem to be any side that can match them in France. So I know it's post-Champions League and they will be affected by the international break, but that is good value. Stuttgart, when they deliver, they deliver. You will be able to find out in play which Stuttgart turns up. They tend to dominate the shots on target, shots off target and corner count. So that will be one for me to look at later on. These have the potential. If it's 0-0 at half time, I'll be looking at these potentially taking on like we did with Port Vale. So I'll see if I can find 1 or 2 of those techniques for you. AEK Athens, very strong favourites. Slavadiakos, Panathinaikos, 2 of the big guns out today. Derry and Sligo, Waterford and Drogs. Derry City, strong favourites. Sligo Rovers just had a terrible season, conceding heavily. Derry City should ordinarily put them to bed. Treaty and Longford, well, I've just targeted Treaty because they started the season off so well. I can deliver if they're up for it. It should be a comfortable evening for Shamrock Rovers if they're up for the cup, of course. And Italian Serie A, we've got another derby-style match, I call them. Juve Fiorentina. Be very, very careful here. This could be a good candidate for that 0-0, couldn't it? They both have goals in them, but if it's 0-0 at half-time, you never know. Napoli, coming off the back of the Champions League, should keep Genoa to a single goal maximum. So plenty of interesting matches today. Twente, Feyenoord, these are all over 2.5 goal candidates as well. All of the three big guns have home advantage today, with PSV winning yesterday and Ajax drawing 3-3 post-Champions League. It's a good opportunity for AZ and Feyenoord, get an additional 3 points. Post-Champions League for Feyenoord as well. And Spain will be the last port of call, but Celtic, well, can't be trusted, the old firm at the moment. But notably for Rangers, 2 recent wins have come at these odds, 1.62. So we might get something out of Rangers today. Atletico Madrid have hit a bit of form, but they are away to Celta Vigo. Barcelona, very, very difficult side to beat at the moment, just chock full of goals and some quality young players. I might see you for a live stream just to say goodbye. It would be probably a 2 p.m. start to hop on and hopefully get this simulation mode back up and working for us to experiment on creating some really good value plays in play that can make you some big money at low risk. Have a great day. I will potentially see members, so do go to youtube.com/football trading profits and keep an eye on Telegram. I'll make up my mind a bit later about a live stream or not. Have a great day.